A CBS News exclusive from Los Angeles. Growing evidence that gang members are arming themselves for a possible war with the police. President Bush tours the city's burned-out neighborhoods, sees the devastation firsthand. And Eye on America, an illness that strikes 1 out of 6 children, and serious questions about the test commonly used to detect it. This is the CBS Evening News. Good evening, Dan Rather reporting. The streets of Los Angeles may be even more dangerous now than they were before the riots. While some looters were carrying off televisions and stereos, CBS News has now proved that street gangs went shopping for weapons for a possible war against the police. Ron Allen has been investigating.
They're known as the Crip gang members.
We're checking ourselves, getting together so we can be stronger, so we won't let the police come in our communities and shoot us up.
They are armed with 9mm, AK-47 weapons, and they have brought 9,000 rounds of ammo.
You got any guns?
Their main mission is to commit a 187 on any peace officer.
Los Angeles police under siege by gang members who've looted and purchased huge caches of weapons and ammo during the riots.
Those gang members have launched a war on us, and that appalls me that we let that happen.
Nearly 1,000 guns were taken from just one Western surplus store, and thousands more high-powered weapons were looted across L.A.
How many guns did you lose?
Plus 300.
300 plus guns?
Long guns, rifles, shotguns.
Officials are particularly concerned about long-range, high-powered hunting rifles taken from this store, rifles that are good for snipers. And CBS News has learned gang members went to gun stores as far away as Bakersfield and Fresno and bought 7,000 rounds of ammo for military-style weapons. Police are so concerned about the threat, they've set up a new intelligence command center here at headquarters. Already, sources say, there have been 3 assassination attempts against LAPD cops during the past 7 days. In one incident, shooters fired on undercover police cars as they pulled off a freeway. The police were not injured. In a second incident, a car full of gang members pulled up next to an unmarked police car and opened fire near this police substation. Police knew how serious this violence was on the first night of rioting. They took 150 rounds of fire from inside this public housing project.
A lot of them have been flashing their colors, flashing their gang signs, giving us verbal threats. They're basically letting us know who they are and what they plan to do.
The majority of the murders and the street violence, the drive-by shootings that are occurring here in Los Angeles are perpetuated by gang violence.
The anger between cops and young blacks is deep and cold.
We against the police. That's what we're against, the police. Because they've been against us, and now it's time for us to get ours.
All the threats and violence come as many of the 100,000 Crips and Bloods gang members are talking peace. But after years of killing each other, now some are talking about killing cops. What happens when the troops leave?
When the troops leave, I think we got to just keep our fingers crossed. We'll be intimidated. I'm intimidated.
When asked if the department had a plan to deal with this new level of violence, one investigator said there is no plan, and we're in disarray. Ron Allen, CBS News, Los Angeles.
President Bush took
Back in those days, you know, even law enforcement helped to escalate the gang fights because they would pick up a Crip and drop him in a Blood neighborhood. They would pick up a Blood and drop him in and here you go. So, you know, if somebody beat up your homeboy, you know, we're going to get together and go back over there and retaliate.
Yeah.
You know, so America has its hand in a lot of mechanisms out here that's just keeping this violence going with us. But it's time to make a change.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know,
yeah, I definitely hear you.
After high school, I joined the Navy.
Okay.
I did 4 years, and I got honorable discharge.
Thank you for your service.
And I did that because I saw where the gangs was going with the gun violence.
Okay.
And I didn't want to go kill nobody look like me. We could fist fight. I done got busted up many a times out there. Lost more than what I won. So when I got out, the gun violence just escalated.
Yeah, oh, it was crazy.
And then, you know, when they introduced the cocaine epidemic.
Crack cocaine, man.
Yeah, that when they cracked cocaine, it just blinds everybody. And what followed that was these automatic weapons. You had the Uzis, the MAC-10s, and all these semi-automatic handguns was starting to hit the streets, and it just got crazy in those 80s.
Yeah, because from what I understand, originally going back to Raymond Washington, he didn't like guns at all. He was totally against them. He was, you know, let's fight from the shoulders. And
Raymond Washington threw dogs. He could fight. Mac Thomas could fight. We had some dudes. I mean, if it wasn't for gangs and they would have been in the boxing, we'd have had some local world champions out there, because these dudes could fist fight.
Damn.
I've seen it. I was there as a young man, as a teenager. You know, when they had the record hop at Will Rogers Park, which is Ted Watkins. Yeah, Ted Watkins now, down on 103rd and Central in L.A. You know, the gym. That's where they had the record hop.
Okay.
In Watts, and you get the pig meats, and the pig meats, which is down in the Jordan Downs now. They're Crip now. You know, they wasn't Crips then, but due to the growth and the escalation of the Crips, it was just a growing thing.
Now, at first, all Crips got together. What do you remember about the first Crip on Crip violence or death?
What I remember is I know we had a meeting at Ted Watkins. Will Rogers Park, Ted Watkins, and you had Raymond, Mac Thomas, and you had Jamel Lil James, and I'll tell you, it was about 3,000 Crips at that meeting at that park. And then at the end of that meeting, all the big Crips marched at the end from that park to the liquor store on 108th and Avalon. And all the baby Crips, we was on bicycles now. That meeting had so many Crips. When the line was in at the liquor store on 108th and Avalon, you still had Crips in formation from the park, marching in column and twos. So, you know, back then, we had rank. And we have respect for the OGs and the leaders and the shot callers. It's not like today where you get a young guy growing up, and once he get put on, he get a little gun, go do what he want. While in respect for his homeboys or his neighborhood, somebody tick him off, I got to go get them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like back then. Back then it was much more respect between the gangs on how they associated and even how they had disagreements, you know. So it is not like today. Today, you know, homeboys are killing their own homies now.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
It's just that bad.
And it's now it's just an everyday thing, the killings. But back then, killings weren't really, you know, a big. It was a big thing when it happened.